Okay, so first thing, there are some couple of bitwise operators we have. So what are the bitwise operators we have? So we have AND, OR, XOR, and tilde. Tilde, not is not there. Not is a logical operator. Tilde, left shift, right shift. So these are the bitwise operators we have. So what we do, we perform the bitwise operations on the given operand, right? So out of these all these are binary operators, and this is unary operator. This is unary. Now let's try to understand. Unary means they will work on single operand. Binary, what are the binary means? They will work on two operands. So we have single AND, pipe, XOR, left shift, right shift. Okay, so these are the binary operators we have. Now what they do, these binary operators, what they do, they actually do the bitwise operation on the given operand. So let's talk about the AND. So if I use SOP of 4 and 5. So if I do this SOP of 4 and 5, what it does? So it will do a AND operation on the bits of 4 and 5. So 4 is represented in binary such as 1, 0. 5 is represented as 1, 0, 1. Now they do the bitwise AND operation. So 1 is considered as true and 0 is as false. So 0, this false and true, false, that is 0, 0, 0, 0, 1, 1, 1. So if you get it back, you get an output as 4. So output will be 4 in this case. Now similarly, if I do SOP of 4 or 5, so it will do a, what we are going to do, OR operation. OR operation means it will do a either. So if one of them is true, it will return true. That is 1, 0, 1. So if you get it back, you get it as 5. So this is your logical, bitwise OR. Now if I take SOP of 4 XOR 5, so it will perform a XOR operation. So XOR operation returns true if both of them are unique. So 0, 1 are unique, so it will return 1. 0, 0, they are duplicate, so it will return 0. 1, 1, 0. So if you get it back, you will get output as 1. So this is what we know already. Now there are two more, left shift and right shift. Now let's talk about the left shift. Now left shift works on two operands, operand 1 and operand 2. So operand 1 is the actual number and operand 2 is the number of places. So what do you mean by that? Now this number, whatever the number you have, you want to shift the bits of this number to the left by number of places. Now example, now if I write SOP of 4 left shift 1, 4 left shift 1. So what we do with this, 4 left shift 1, in this case bits of 4 are shifted to the left by 1. Now how 4 is represented, we know that. Let's talk about example 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 1, 0, 0. So this is the MSB we have, and we have rest of the are bits. Now when I say this is 4, this is the representation of 4. Now what this means is shift the bits of 4 to the left, this side, by how many places? 1. So this 0 will be shifted this side, this 1 will be shifted this side. Now if I shift this 1 to this side, what will happen? 1, 0, 0, 0, and rest of the things will remain 0. So if you calculate 1, 0, 0, you will get output as 8. Now if I say shift the bits of 4 to the left by 2 places, so what will happen? This 1 will shift to 2 places. Now instead of 1 place, it will shift to 2 places. 16. Now this 1 will shift to this one. So 0, 1. So 1, 0, 0, 0. So if you calculate this, you will get it as 16. Now if I shift the bits of 4 to the left by 3 places, what will happen? What is the output? So this 1 will be shifted to this place. This will be 1, 0. So if you calculate this 1, 0, 0, this will be 32. Right? Now this is left shift. Now similarly right shift, what will happen? Now if I do this right shift, now instead of shifting, now we have, now when I say shift the bits of 4 to the right means this side, what will happen? This 1 will shift to this place. So your new number will be 0. So 1, 0 will be 2. Now if I say shift the bits of 4 to the left by 2 places, what will happen? So this 1 will shift to this place. Now this will be 1. Answer will be 1. Now if I say shift the bits of 4 to the left to the right by 3 places, what will happen? Answer will be 0. Answer will be 0. In this case, answer will be 0. Let's do with the ID also. Okay. So let's say I have two numbers 4 and 5. So if I do 4 and 5, output will be 4. If I do 4 or 5, answer will be 5. If I do 4 XOR 5, what will the answer? 1. So this was already we knew. There is something new that we seen. 4 left shift 1. What will happen? In this case, what is the output? 8. In this case, 16. In this case, 32. If I do one more time, if I do one more time, 120. So can you see the pattern? What is the formula? Can you do some formula here? What is the output? Four into 2 to the power, ये जो भी place है, this is power, number of bits, that is operand 2 भी बोल सकते हैं, number of, so this is operand 1 into 2 raised to operand 2. Take it. Now 4 is shifted to the bits of 4 are shifted to the left by 1. So 4 into, if I calculate this, 4 into 2 raised to 1. What is the answer? 8. Answer will be 8. Sorry? XOR को? Yes, power. Power. Yes, this is power. Two raised to. Yes. 2 raised to. Okay. So 2 raised to operand जो भी है. Now if I do this to the left, what will happen? If I do the same thing to the right, shift the bits of 4 to the right by 1 places, 2 places, 3 places. ठीक है. Now shift the beats of 4 to the right by 1 place. What will answer? 2. Here 1, 0, 0, 0. And if I take 16, what is the output? Or maybe 3. 2. So how 16 is written? 16 is written like this: 4, 8, 16. So 1 will be here and this will be 0. 1, 0, 0, 0. ठीक है. This will be 1, 0. So this is 16. Now if I shift the bits of 16 to the 3 places right, so this will be 1, 2, 3. So this will be 1. So 1, 0 will be 2. So answer will be 2. So can I write a formula for this? Can I write a formula? What is the formula? What is the output? Simple. Calculate this. What is operand 1? 16. 16 by 2 raised to 3. What is that? 2 raised to 3 is 8. So output will be 2. You can remember this also. Simple. Okay. There is one last. So about that, what is negation? This is also called as negation. This is also called as tilde symbol. So anyone knows about this symbol, negation or tilde? This is shift plus shift and comma. This is just below escape. So what is the use of this negation? So negation, first of all, it is a unary operator. So what do you mean by unary operation? Now if I say SOP of tilde 4, what is the output? Why minus 4? It will be minus 5. And negation of minus 5, what is the answer? Yes. But why? Let's say SOP of 5, what is the answer? Minus 4. Perfect. SOP of this one, what is the answer in this case? 6. Tilde of 6, what is the answer in this case? Minus 7. Minus 7. So can we see this pattern? Operand plus 1 and operand plus 1, change the sign. Change the sign. If it is positive, do it negative. If it is negative, make it positive. Right? Now why it is coming like this? What is negation mean? So if I say negation of 4, 5, 6. So your answers will be in this case minus 5, minus 6, minus 7. So similarly, if I do negation of minus 5, 6, 7. So what is the answer? 4, 5, 6. So what is the formula? Operand plus 1, change the sign. Change the sign. But why we are doing this? Let me run this. See here, minus 5, 6, 7, 4, 5, 6. But how do this is also happening bitwise? There is some bitwise operation happening. So what does bitwise operation do? So how the bitwise operation is performed? So negation happens. Now first of all, there are two things happening here. Now if you see the pattern, what is happening? Addition, and then change the sign. So what happens in this case? Now let's say number is if the number is, I think it is taking some time. Now let's say number is 4, and if I apply negation on this 4, what will happen? First of all, this 4 is written like this, 1, 0, 0, and there are a lot of bits before that also. Earlier will be initialized with 0, 0, right? Now what happens? First of all, this 0, 0 will be, now zeros will become 1 and 1 will become 0, and then do the plus 1. What we do? Then we do the plus 1. So what we do? 0 will become 1 and 1 will become 0. Then we do the plus 1. So what happens in that case? I think this has stuck. Let me reopen this once. So in this case, what happens? 1 becomes 0 and 0 becomes 1. So how 4 is written? It is written as 0, 0, 0, 0, 1, 0. Now first of all, this will become, everything will become, 1 will become 0 and 0 will become 1, 0. Now do a plus 1. After that, do a plus 1, 1, 1, 0, plus 1, plus plus, not and. Again 1 plus 1, 0, 1, then what we do? Rest is everything 1, 1, 1, 1 like this, and this is a negative representation. This is a negative number, so you get output as a negative. This is what you get, a negative number. So you just change 0 to 1, 1 to 0, and then you plus do a plus 1. So that is how negation happens. Okay. Okay. Next, what was the doubt? There was a doubt of tilde. These two are done. Third, there was a doubt for the for loop. There was a doubt for the for loop. Okay. Now, if you carefully see the for loop, we write 3 things inside this. Now, if I do not write anything, what happens? It will be an infinite loop. This will be an infinite loop. This is the for loop body. So in this initialization and increment decrement, we can write any valid Java statement. But in this particular condition, we have to write a true. Right? Now I can take a variable also. I can take a variable also, that is of type Boolean flag. I will initially say true and I will say flag. And later I can change flag to false. Later I can change flag to false. Now what I can write inside this? You can write any valid Java statement. You can write any valid Java statement. You can write initialization also. You can write again here. increment, decrement. Okay, now let's run this. So first time your flag is true, so control will come inside the control will come to initialization, goes to flag, then it will come to body, and again it will go to the increment, decrement. Let's run this. What is the output? Correct. And after that you will have rest of the main. See here, initialization, for loop, increment, decrement. This is how control. Now what you can write? You can write any valid Java statement. Now what you can do? You can declare multiple variables also. So we'll try that also. So what I can do? Instead of this statement, I can say int I, comma j. Now int I equal to 0, j equal to 0. Now both I and j are of type integer. So you can do that also. Right. Now what I can say? I should be greater than 0. Sorry, I should be less than 5, and j should be less than 5. Okay. Now what I did, I created two variables. You can create any number of variables. I can create k also, k equal to 0. So all three variables are initialized with, all three are of type integer. Then I write I is less than 5 and j should be less than 5. This is one condition. Both the conditions should be true, then only control will come there. Then there was I plus plus and j plus plus. So what will happen? How many times this will run? 5 times. This will run for 5 times because both of them are true. Both are equal to. Perfect. See here, for loop body 5 times and rest of the main. Right. Now if I say j equal to I, what is the output? Same. Again you will get the same output. Same output. j का value update हो रहा है. I is getting incremented. I become 0 will become 1. Then that 1 value will be assigned to j. So j will be incremented, I will be incremented, and that incremented value is assigned to j. Now if I say plus 1, what will happen? J initially will become, it will, how many times it will run? 3 times only, or 2 times? 3 times. 4 times. Why? Yes, it is starting from 0. If I do 2, first time I is 0, j is 0, okay, then I plus plus, I will become 1 and j will become 3. Next time j will become, I will become 2 and j will become 2 plus 2, 4, and next time that will be int. Three times. Simple. I hope this is clear now. Okay. Now there is one more question you asked. The value of a variable is assigned to 6 and then it is used in the condition also. ठीक है. So I have variable int equal to, let's say, 10 and int b equal to, let's say, 20, and I write in this a plus plus equal to, okay, what was the question? a equal to 11 hmm. Hmm. Plus a, okay, a equal to 5, okay. So what is the output in this case? Yes, it will be 5 only, because a value is changed to 5. Perfect. Now if you use this again, 5, yes, so value will be changed. So you are assigning value to a variable, that is fine. Yes, 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 you can change. It is not final, so you can change the value anytime. You can change this value anytime. Okay, so there is one last question regarding range of prime numbers. Range of prime numbers. So first of all, let's try to understand prime numbers. So how do I find a number is prime or not? It is visible by any other number. So let's say I have a number. It is, let's say, 100. So I know this is not a prime number, but I have to prove that this is not a. So first of all, I will say a boolean is prime equal to true. So I will say it is a prime. Now later on, after when you divide, then it should prove that it is not a prime. So how do I say it is not a prime? So you know that any number which is divisible apart from 1 and the number itself, then it is not a prime. If a number is not divisible, then it is a prime number. So if I say prime 1 and the number itself will not divide, and what is the maximum number that can divide? 100, 50. So after 50 there is no number that can divide 100. So we will continue from 2 to 50. That is 50. So I will take a for loop which will start from 2 and it will be less than or equal to number by, that's it. And then if we say if number, so we will divide the number from 2, 3, 4, 5, 7 like this till 50. Number mod 2, not 2, I equals to 0, then we will say is prime equal to false, and we will stop there itself. And finally we will say is prime, if it is true, then I will say it's prime, otherwise I will say it's not a prime. Perfect. So this is just a single number. This is a single number I am trying to check whether it is a prime or not. Now I want to check all the numbers in a range. Let's say I want to print all the numbers who are prime in a range of 1 to 1000 or 10,000, anything. Right? So how do I do that? It's not a prime, we know that. So I have to just print the prime numbers in a range of 1 to 1000. Okay, so let's take this out. Now what numbers you want to check? So I have for loop and this will be number. So number will be starting from 1 to, let's say, 1000. So each iteration I will get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and each time I will get this number and I will check whether this number is prime or not. So then I am inside this. Number is already there. You don't have a single number, so every time your number will be there. Now what you do? You take a number If it is prime, you say false. If it is prime, then it's a prime. So I have to just print. What I have to print? If is prime, then I will print only. Otherwise, I will not print. I will print the number. That's it. This is a program which will print all the prime numbers in a range 1 to 1000 or 1 to 10,000, anything. Let's run this. So similar for the perfect number, Armstrong number, you can do that. You see, these are the prime numbers. These are the prime numbers we have. 1, 2, 3, 5, 7, 11, 13 like this. 997. So all these numbers are only divisible by the 1 and the number itself. They are not divisible by any other number. So this is one of the program. Same thing you can do for the perfect number also. Yes. ये वाला ऐसे for scroll down ऐसे करो up down, just hit enter and I say num. Yes. Yes. Check. Okay. Any other doubts, questions? Switch में 1 minute. Okay, this is done. Okay. So switch using pattern. What was the pattern?
Actually, looping statements.
Looping statements are that was using looping statement, I think. नहीं होगा no. You cannot do that. Okay. Yes. So there was this pattern, right? Star. This was pattern using. Okay. So this should be using loop. This should be using loop. So what is the pattern we are trying to print now? This is the pattern. We'll try to print this pattern. This is easy. So how many rows are there? So we'll have row. So row will be 1 and equal to, let's say, 5. And then I will have a column. Okay. Now we have to think about the how many stars we have to print first line? 5. Then 4, 3, 2, 1. So we have to do that in decreasing order. So first of all, we have to start from 5. And this should be greater than, equal to, greater than, equal to 1. Column minus. But this will do, what will happen? This will print 5 stars every time. This will what happen? This will print all the 5 stars. But do you want all 5 stars? Then what you want? You can give space, okay. But what you want? Now if I run this, it will print 5 by 5. This will print 5 by 5. But do you want 5 by 5? No. You want 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So how do I do that? Condition should be, if I write row, okay, now it will work. Now first time row will be 1, then 2 to 5, 3 to 5, 4 to 5, like this. So it is a decreasing? Yes. This is doable? Yes. Simple. Next. Now I want to print that side. So earlier if you see, what was the output? This was. Now I want that side, right hand. So how do? I have to take the spaces. right? First time, how many spaces are there? 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4. So first of all, what we have to print? We have to print the spaces. Print the spaces, and this is stars. So how do I do that? For space, how many spaces? First of all, it will start from 1. You can start from. Then how many times we want? Row minus 1, and space should be less than or equal to, greater than or equal to. No, it will not work like that. So spaces we are going to decrease or increase? Increase, right? So spaces, how many spaces we have to add first time? Spaces should be less than or equal to row and it should be row minus 1. This is row minus 1. Space should be less than or equal to this one. So I have taken this, spaces will increase, but first time how many spaces I have to print? 1 minus 1, 0. Everywhere it is same, right? So what we have to do? Just tell me. Now number of spaces are equal for everyone. If you see, spaces are constant or different? Number of spaces are constant. So they will decrease, right? They should be decreased. How many spaces? If you see here, 1, 2, how many spaces are there? There are same, it is same. So it should change, right? So how do I change that?
The row should start with 1 and condition would be row minus 1.
Condition should be
Row minus 1.
row minus 1.
And it should start with 1. Because anyway it will not go first time.
So it should be less than or equal to? Okay. Correct? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. तो यही है. This is what?
One more space it will do.
One more space, right?
So this is a required output.
Yes, this will work. Correct. ठीक है, this is left hand side completely. With this you will get the complete output. Easy?
Yes, sir.
So you add only upper triangle now and this triangle. Done. Okay. Any other questions? We'll take only questions today. We'll start class on object next session. कल छुट्टी. मुझे कल बस अकेले आना पड़ेगा, कोई बाकी लोग नहीं आएंगे. ठीक है. So let's quickly revise हमने क्या क्या देखा है अभी तक. हमने स्टार्ट किया था इंट्रोडक्शन से. हमने पढ़ा था कि what is Java, why do we use Java, and then we have some basic features. Then we have seen how to set up that. We have seen Java program structure, what is there, package statement, import statements, word class definition, main method. Then we have understood why main method, how it is defined. Then we have learned variables क्या होता है. It is used to store the data. Data types क्या होता है, different data types. Identifiers क्या होता है. यहाँ पे बस keywords का list है. This is just a list of keywords. So all these at the end of your completion of core Java will understand what are the keywords are there. Control statements related we have if else related. So control statements related, all these are 10. These are 10 control statement related keywords. So these keywords you cannot use it any other place. So this should be placed out. Then data type related, we know these are the 8 data type related we have. So we have almost 10 and 8, 18. Then we have some other lot of other object oriented keywords. So all these keywords at the end you will be able to explain each and every keyword. There are around 53 keywords. Everyone will be able to explain that. Then we have seen control statements. Inside that we have seen different types of control statements. We have 3 categories. What are the 3 categories? Conditional, looping and transfer. So under conditional, what do we have? So under conditional, so we have conditional statements. Inside that we have seen then we have looping statements. In that we have seen for loop. For each also we are going to learn, but once we know the concept of array and collection. So this is used to iterate data from array or collection. Then we have seen transfer statements, right? And inside that we have seen all these 3. Right? So conditional statements, we usually just check the condition, and based on the condition we either select a code for execution or not. So if else we have, how does if else works? If else we have the condition, it should be boolean, and if it is true it will get the statements executed. If it is false, rest of the code will be executed. Very simple. Switch, what we do, we have a given value that we compare across multiple case labels, and if it is matching, that particular case will be executed, otherwise no other case. Otherwise no case matching, default will be executed. Then we have seen value, this value will be of type these types, then other some nitty-gritties of this. And then we have seen looping statements, for loop.
The switch means that value means case label should be constants.
Yes.
But I think उसमें 4/2 किया तो अगर ब्रैकेट में डालते हैं, इसमें expressions are not allowed.
Correct.
मैंने बोर्ड नॉच में इसमें ब्रैकेट में डाला तो 4/2 it will has case switch में.
Just a second. So you are saying if I write 10, and then you are saying if I write case, and if I write 10, 10 by 2. Okay.
Case 5 कर दिया, switch में 5 डाल दिया.
Let's say it is 5, and then we set very good. Okay, let's say I will write 20. Okay, this you are saying, right? Now with brackets you can write, I think actually this should be, yes, it will work, because this will be solved, because if I do this it is not able to recognize.
Correct.
Right?
Same thing I have writing variable in not.
Okay, so this is a value, right? This is a value, this will work. But if I write variable, some other variable, it will not work. So let's say int variable equal to, let's say 10. This variable will not be worked. Right? Function call also, if you try to write function, it will not work. It will not work, function call also. Public static int function, and I say return 5. It will not work. So function call variable, it will not work. Right? So value you have tried, value we have tried. Expression also you can try, but the ultimate you are getting a value. You are getting a value that we can do. There we can write byte short int, char, string and enum and their wrapper classes. Values cannot be boolean, long, float, double. आपके पास in switch writing case, default, break, everything is optional. If you want, then only you can write, otherwise you can skip that. Transfer statements, looping statements, we have seen for loop. If I want to execute the code again and again, then you go with the for loop, while loop, do while and for each. For loop, we know how it works. It has three components: initialization, condition, and increment, decrement. If the condition is true, then only this will continue, otherwise it will not execute. While also, we have only condition if the condition is true, otherwise it will not. Do while also, first of all, do will be executed and then condition will be checked. For each, it is very similar to your for loop, but it will use to read only. It is used to read the data from the array. So how do I read that data? We can read the data also. I will just tell you how do we do that. We haven't seen the arrays, but let me take up that. So you can, if you know some array, you can learn that. So I have an array and there I have some group of values. So I want to read the values from this given array. One option is I can go with the for loop, traditional for loop, array dot length, and I can just print the array of I. This is one option. This is traditional way. But instead of writing this much content, we can go with the for each, and there you can write int I and array. That's it. And you can just print the I. This is the. Now how this works? Each iteration you get one value from this pool of values. You assign that value to this I. You print the value, use that value. Again, next value will be taken from this pool and it will be put inside the I. So every iteration it will create a value and it will put inside this. This will continue till the time we have values. This is for each. This is for each. So we will be learning this once we know the array and collection. So this is specifically used for iterating the values from the given array and collection. Tick. Okay. And then we have seen transfer statements to transfer the control from one place to another. So we have seen break, continue, and return. So break we use inside the switch and loops. Continue we use only inside the loops. Return we can use inside the methods. So if break occurs, that will be end of your for loop, end of your switch. If continue occurs, what happens? It will skip the current iteration and it will move to the next iteration. If return occurs, it is end of your method. Okay. Then we have seen Java JVM architecture also we have seen. No. Okay. So we can cover it maybe before the class and object or maybe anywhere between the session also we can do that. That is fine. And then we were supposed to start with class and object today. We'll start that. No worries. Next session we'll start with this. Most of the people are not there today. So there are two words. So before we start with these words, we will see some analogies which are related to class and object. Okay, this is something we are targeting to learn. Now you can think of, let's say you have a bank account. Everyone has a bank account. Everyone's bank account has certain bank account number, the account holder name, IFSC code, balance. Then everyone is able to perform operations also. What operations? Withdraw the money, deposit the money, transfer the money, check balance, or mini statement. Now everyone is able to perform these operations. Yes. Everyone is able to check their balance. Yes. Now if you think of, now when the bank decided that they want to have a bank account concept. Now everyone wanted to have a bank account. So let's say everyone has the bank account. So everyone has a separate bank account, but that is created from a design. So what bank account details will have, that will be designed first. So that these are the details everyone will have. So that is structure they have decided first. Now they decided a structure first, and with the help of that structure they have created actual accounts, right? Now what is that first thing they have created? A layout or a plan or a set of guidelines what every customer will have. Every customer will have customer ID, account number, account holder name, right? Now that plan or layout you can think of as a class. What your actual account will have, and actual accounts are nothing but objects. So why do we create class, or why do we create that structure? To create objects or actual accounts. Okay, so this is one analogy you can remember. Second, you can think of house. Before we construct the house, what we develop? we develop the first plan, layout, structure, design, or a template which will tell how the construction of the house will be completed, right? So what we do first, what is the first analysis we have seen? Bank account, design, and the actual accounts. Second, floor plan and house. Floor plan and house. So if you want to construct a house, what is the first thing we need to do? We first design, that is on piece of paper or maybe using any other tool, right? Then with the help of that plan, we can create the house. So what is that? That floor plan or a set of guidelines or set of instructions is nothing but a class, and actual house is nothing but a object, right? So you can relate that way. Third, now let's say you want to build the car. You need to have a structure in place. First of all, you want to build a car. Now you have actual car. Now the first time when the car designers are trying to design a car, so they will decide, right, this car will have 2 wheels or 4 wheels. They will have a steering at the beginning or left and right. Then how many engines they will have, how many storage capacity will have, what is the engine they will have, what is the cushion they are going to use, how many seats will be there, what is the music system they are going to have. So everything will be detailed out first of all before they actually design the car. So that car design you can think of as a planning or a structure or a class. And actual cars which are in the market, these are nothing but objects. This is one you can remember: car and car design and actual car. Now let's think of e-commerce applications. Every day we deal with the e-commerce applications. So how they are using class and object concept. Now class and object concept is not particular to Java. This is just a concept. This is just a concept that was introduced in 1960s. So initially it was implemented using Simola. There was one programming language, and now Java has also taken the inspiration of this class and object concept. So they have implemented this class and object or OOPS concepts in their programming. So what was first? We had a class and object. पहले class and object था, OOPS concepts थे. उसके बाद 1960s में ये concept introduce हुआ था OOPS का. उसके बाद फिर उसको implement किया था बहुत सारी programming language ने, C++, Simola, then Java, then Python, and so many. So ये Java related या Java ने इसको invent नहीं किया. These concepts were already there. इनको बस इन सारी programming languages ने implement किया class and object, right? So if you think of e-commerce applications, how they are using class and object. Now you can think of customer, you can think of a product or an order. Now there will be products across the particular e-commerce application. So each product will have product ID, product name, product description, product price, then some other, there can be lot many other attributes for that, right? There will be a lot of fields also. So they must have decided that every product should have these many details. So if you open any product, you will see the image, particular images, videos, then description, discount, MRP, everything is associated with that, right? Now they must have decided this well in advance that each product will have these particular properties. And then actual products or items are nothing but objects, right? Actual product items are nothing but objects. So product is nothing but, product design is nothing but a class, and then we have actual items. These are nothing but your objects. Now if you see, we get the cookies, biscuits. So sometime in the childhood, if you see that cookies used to come in different shapes: star, gold shape, golden shape, or that heart shape. Now you can think of, there will be a cookie cutter will be there. So there will be specific cookie cutters will be designed, and when they applied on that particular that floor, what will happen? The biscuit, that cookies will be created in that shape only. So that you can think of as cookie cutter as a class, and actual that cookies are nothing but objects. You can think of that also. So you can think of, let's say, star cookie, ये वाला नहीं, cookie cutter and actual cookies. This is one example you can think of. What you can tell me examples? You can, there are n number of analogies where you can implement this in the program. Now let's say I want to maintain a balance or accounting. Now every day I want to maintain, let's say, what is my expense, what is my income. Now let's say I want to create an application for that to maintain my income and expenses. Now there might be some fields that I need to maintain. So let's say I want to add an entry for the income. So I have to maintain what is the ID. ID will be behind the scene, but what I need, there might be multiple incomes, so I have to have the IDs maintain ID, then what the income is for, then what is the income amount, then and what was the reason I got the income, and then on what date, what is the time, what is the category. So these will be multiple fields I have. Then what all operations I can perform on the income. I can add a new income, I can edit the income. Now by mistakenly I added some salary or something and I want to update that. So you have to update that, you have to delete that also, or you have to list down all the incomes. Similar for the expense also. First of all, I will design how my actual income will look like, how my actual expense will look like, right? So if I want to develop such applications, I have to think in terms of class and object. So class is nothing but just a specification or a structure, how your objects are going to look like, how your actual thing will look like, how your actual object will look like, what it will have. Now let's say I want to maintain an inventory. I want to maintain the inventory at this place. So each there might be item. So what is the item, item ID, what is the item name, and quantity, category. Now let's say I want to maintain the inventory of this particular classroom. So I have to maintain how many tables are there, how many benches are there, then what is the price of that, whether what was the last use, what was the last stock, everything I have to maintain. So you can think of as a inventory. What do we maintain in the inventory? Items will have. So what actual item will look like? It will have ID, name, what is the price, number of stocks. So that I design, and actual object will be different that, right? So each item will have a ID, some title, will have a stock, then it will have a price also. So I have to maintain that. So such application development you can think of class and object. So this is not just related to programming language, it is just an idea. It is just an idea or concept. This is very useful. Because of that, only programming languages started using the concept of class and object. So if you carefully see what we are talking about, class and object. So which one is physical entity and which is logical entity? Object is physical entity, which will actually specify, which will occupy the space. Class is just a logical entity. It is just a logical entity, right? And if I ask you some questions, do we need class first or object first? We need class first to create objects. So why do we need class first? To create object. So we need some instructions. We define the objects. What object will have? So we need class first and then we can create objects. How many objects we can create? Any number of objects. So object, what object will store actual, whatever the information we have specified in the design, that information data will be there. Now let's say you can think of this, let's say I have an item, product. Now product, actual product. Now this is a product also, this bottle is also product. So what is the bottle, what is the bottle? Product has name. What is the name of the product? Bottle. What is the price? Let's say 100 rupees. Then what is the category? What is the stock? Let's say stock is, let's say 100. So the actual data itself. Now what data it is? The specification which is there in the class. So whatever you have specified, for the same you have to maintain the data, right? So object represents a physical presence in the memory. So when I say I have created an object, right? Now if you think of logically, I want to maintain the, let's say, product. Now it is just a logical entity and actual products are nothing but physical entity. Now same thing I have to do in the programming also. So actual objects will occupy the space. When I say I have created an object, then you say that it is a occupation of the memory. आपने घर बनाया, let's say you have created a house with the help of that floor plan. So when I say I have created a house, you have created a house means you have constructed a house means you have actually constructed the house, you have occupied the space. ऐसा हम बोलते हैं कि हमने फ्लोर पे प्लान बनाया और मैंने बोल दिया कि अभी मैंने घर बना दिया, ऐसे बोलते हैं कि हम? No, when the actual home is constructed, when you actually occupy the space. And what is that plan? That plan was for to occupy the empty piece of land. What was the plan? Plan was to occupy the empty piece of land. So similarly, when you create a class, you are just creating a plan how I am going to occupy the memory space where I will put some data. So when I create an object, you are just creating a memory allocation, or you are just putting some data into the memory. So what data? The data which was specified in that plan. So you said it will have product ID, product name, then it will have price. For that particular attributes, I put a value. Right? So we'll have more discussion on this also, and yeah, this is some basic analogy you have to maintain so that understanding it becomes easy. Now you can think of this way also. Now class word actually come from the word classification. We are doing a classification. We are doing a classification or categorization. So what we have done categorization, we have done a categorization of bank account. Now how many categories we have now? Bank, house, car, product, cookie. So these are nothing but categories. These are category, and each category have different objects also. So object belong to a category. Objects belong to a category. Now I have, let's say, 5 objects. Now let's say I have one object, that is, I have car, let's say, that belongs to which category? Car. Now let's vehicle category. Now let's say I have this water bottle. This belongs to a product category. Now I have a bank account. Now that belongs to which category? Account category. Right? So let's say I have a cookie. That belongs to cookie category. Now I can create income expense. Now I will have multiple entries of income, multiple entries of expense. So that income actual entry belongs to which category? Income. Expense actually belongs to that expense category. Right? So object will have several things. First of all, it will have state, that is attributes, and behavior. State and behavior is a common word we use in the OOPS concept. What is state and behavior? State you can think of as data, and behavior is nothing but task or a functions. Behavior is nothing but a function or a task. Now you can think of, let's say we are a category of which we are also objects. We are also objects. We are category. Which category objects we are? Animal category, right? So what are the attributes we have? So we have some attributes. We have some behaviors also. So we can talk. We can walk. We can run. We can think. These are our behaviors. These are our behaviors. Attributes means I have 2 hands. Right? These are my attributes. Then behavior means what a function I can do. What is the routine I follow? What is the function I do? These are actually your behaviors or functions or routine or methods or procedure. So every object will have 2 things. What are the 2 things it will have? First is attributes, and this one is functions or behavior. So we have this famous term state and behavior. State and behavior, or you can say attribute and behavior also. State, attribute, data, field, column, properties. This represents a data or information. And behavior, function, method, procedure, implementation, routine, they represent a function or a behavior. Right? So first of all, we are going to design the classes, then we are going to design the objects. So first we need the class, and then we can create the object. So when you create the object, you are actually going to create a memory allocation for the data which is specified in that particular plan. So if I want to define a class, what is class? Is a structured. It is a structure, template, blueprint, set of guidelines, set of rules to define object, right? And why do we need class? In order to define the objects, right? And how do I create a class? I have to write the class keyword, then I have to write the class name, then I have to write the brackets, and inside that I write the set of variables, methods, everything, right? Then when I create an object, I have to use, what is object? It is an instance of a class. Now you can think of as an instance. What is an instance? Instance is just a memory space allocated for the class type data. Class type data means it has allocated a data, it has occupied the space for the to store the data which is specified in that particular plan or that particular class. Now when I say object, I am object of type let's say animal category. Now I will occupy the data which is specified in the animal category, that particular. So I am going to occupy the space for that the data which is specified in that particular plan. So this is called as object. Now object is also called as, it is a memory space allocated for the class type data, or it is an instance of a class. What is instance? Instance just a memory space allocated for the data which is specified in the class. Okay. So why do we need objects? Why do we need objects? Why do we need objects?
To finalize what we want exactly. The final.
So with the help of object, what we can do? Yes. So what, like instead of asking this question, I should ask. Now let's say we are objects of which category? Animal category. So why do we exist? So we exist means we exist. We belong to a category. Now we have just created a categorization based for easy understanding. So objects are already there. Objects are there. So objects are there to represent. Now why we create objects in the programming? To represent or map a real world entity into the program. Mapping a real world entity into the program means putting the data which is related for that particular object. Now let's say I want to map this product, let's say water bottle, this is a product I want to map in the program or in the application. So I have to maintain the details of this particular. So I have to store the data which is related to this particular item. So this is nothing but an object. So why do we need objects? If someone asks you, you can tell them that we need objects to represent real world logical or physical entities into the program. Real world logical or physical. Now logical means your bank account. Physical means let's say water bottle, desk, laptop. These are physical. To map them in the program. And how do I create a class? How do I create an object? How do I create an object? So we have to have a class name, then we have to name a reference, and then equal to, then we write new and the class name, again we write the brackets. So we'll see how to create an object. This is just a syntax part. This is just a syntax part, right? Now before we actually going deep into that class and object, I just understand this. So now you tell me, whenever I am trying to map a real world entity, do you know all the details of a particular product or item? Do you know? Sometimes you may know all the details, sometimes you may not need. Sometimes you just need to occupy the memory space and you want to add the values later on. That also we can do. So there is a concept called as, there is something. Now there is something called as constructor. Constructor is a concept which will help you to initialize or put the values for your object. So what is constructor? Constructor means, constructor you can think of as people who build the house. So what they are doing, they are helping you to build the house. So constructor is also like that. Constructor is also like that. Now you can think of a cookie maker who will be applying the cutters. You can think of a car maker who will be assembling your car. So similarly, constructor is also a guy who is going to help you construct the object. Constructing the object means putting the value for that particular object. So constructor is a concept that we are going to learn, right? So with the help of that we can actually assign the values. So there are different types of constructors. There are different types of workers who will help. One will put the bricks, one will lay the slab and everyone. So similarly in the constructor we have different types of constructors: default, parameterize and zero parameterize. So default means even though you do not have anyone to initialize, they will initialize with default values. Zero parameters means it is specified by the developer, and parameterize is also provided by the developer to specify the values actually. So we will get into that technical later on, but first of all we need to have a great understanding of class and object. If you do not have class and object understanding, it is very difficult to understand class components. Class component means what all things we can write as part of a plan, as part of a class. So we have 5 components: variables, methods, constructor, blocks, and again you can write a class inside a class. So that is nested classes. So we have 5 components. So you can write a plan inside a plan also. This can go any level. This can go any level. That you can think of. Let's say I want to create a very big building. Now I have a big plan. Now inside that I can have another plan to construct a floor. Now again that inside the class I can have a plan to construct a particular flat. Now again that flat can have another plan to construct that particular room or like that. So you can nest that at any level. Right? Now when I create an object, if I create an object of outer bigger plan, so obviously everything will be there. Building will be there, floors will be there, flats will be there, rooms will be there, right? But at the minute level you can again specify the details. So for that purpose you can add the again nested classes, right? So all these 5 components we have to learn in very great detail, then only it is possible to understand OOPS concepts. So OOPS concept is very real, real world you can think of. There are 4 concepts in the OOPS: encapsulation, inheritance, polymorphism and abstraction. So these are 4 pillars we think of as OOPS. Now you do not need to, now these concepts are before programming languages 1960. So you can learn without learning programming also. So these concepts you do not need to know program. These concepts were implemented in the programming. So if I learn these concepts, I can apply these concepts in any other programming languages. So first understand these concepts, and then you can implement this, how they are implemented in the programming language, then you can understand. Now what do you mean by encapsulation? What do you mean by abstraction? What do you mean by inheritance? Now we know the inheritance concept already. What do you mean by inheritance? So we inherit the property of our parents, or maybe our grandparents or super parents. So that is inheritance of property. So same logic we can use in the programming also. Sometime I have a data which is already there. Now I want to reuse that code. So I can inherit that data in one object to another object. So we are talking about objects. I am also object. You are also object. My parents are object. So you inherit the properties from one object into another object, from that object to another level. So this inheritance of properties is also called as inheritance. So what is inheritance? Inheriting the properties of one object into another object, right? So we inherit the properties of our parents. Similarly, what is abstraction? Abstraction means hiding the details. Hiding the details and just exposing the functionality. What do you mean by this? How do I explain this in real world? Now you make a phone call. Do you know how the phone call is working? You just make the phone call. But behind this, how many services are getting up? How many services are getting down? What is happening? Do you know? No. You switch on the car. You drive the car. But how the car is actually working? Do you know that? How the engine is working, how many engines are there, how it is working, do you know? You just know what they want to know, just drive. You withdraw the money from the ATM, they just let you know withdraw the money. They don't tell you how the implementation is done. They don't tell you when you enter the ATM, this is what happening, this API is getting called, this is how your invalid credentials are done, this is how validation of credentials are done. Do you need to know that? No, we just need to know. Now let's say you want to join this class. Now do you need to know who is the building owner of this particular building, from where these benches are coming in, from where this laptop is coming in, where this board is coming in? You don't need to know. You just come, sit, relax. That is what you are expected. You do not need to know all the back-end things. So this is abstraction. So I do not want to know you what is the implementation. I just want to know you, this is the facility you have, you can use it, right? So let's say you take a flight, you just go book tickets and sit. Do you know how the pilot is driving and everything? You do not know. How it is flying in the air, you do not know. You don't know anything physics, you don't know anything chemistry, you do not know maths, but still you are able to sit, you trust them. So this is abstraction. This is real world abstraction. Similarly, in the programming, how do we implement this? Now I do not want to, now I have abstraction. How do I use abstraction in the programming? Now sometime what happens, I have some implementation or some task. I want to get it done, but I don't want to show him. You go to KFC, you eat the food or any other restaurant, do they tell you recipe also? You just enjoy the food. Don't worry about the recipe. So similarly, sometime what I want to just give the output. I do not want to show you the code. You just enjoy the output. I don't want to show you the what is written inside that. So for that purpose, we go with the abstraction. You are able to understand this? What is abstraction? What is inheritance? Same thing. Now polymorphism, you already know polymorphism. You already know, everyone knows that. What is that? Perfect. So let's say I am also object. Now am I going to behave same throughout the day? No, right? I have to behave differently. Is it compulsory? Yes, I have to. Otherwise, if I go with my friends and if I talk to them like the way I talk to you, क्या है भाई? If I talk to my parents the same way I talk to you guys, can I talk to them? No. So I have to change my behavior. How I speak, how I talk, how I treat, I have to change my behavior. Otherwise, people will call me mad. So everyone has to change the behavior? Yes. So this ability of changing the behavior, ability of changing the behavior of an object, I am also object. So this behavior is called as polymorphism. Poly means many and morph means form or behavior. So it's ability of an object to change its behavior. Is it needed? Yes, it is needed. So same thing they are implementing in the programming. So there also objects are there. They will also change the behavior. Now there are two situations only when object will change the behavior. There are only two situations. What are the two situations? Compilation and execution. In real life we have many situations, but in programming we have two only situations: compilation and execution. Now when object changes the behavior at compile time, it is called as compile time polymorphism. When object changes the behavior at runtime, it is called as runtime polymorphism. Simple. What about left is encapsulation. Now encapsulation means we bind something, two entities together. Now you think of that medicine capsule. So we have a wrapper inside that and we have all the medicines inside that. So what we are doing, we are wrapping the necessary properties inside that. So we are binding. We are binding what? Multiple medicines together, right? Similarly, in programming also, I have to bind multiple data as a single unit. Then we can go with the encapsulation. Encapsule means putting together. So what I put together, I put a related data. Now let's say employee related data, I will put it one in particular unit. That is nothing but encapsulation. Now is it visible to outside world? That capsule content, it is not visible. So I make that as private. I make that content as private. So data will be private. And how do I access that? Through public getters and setter methods. So I access that with the help of public getters and setters. So in short, we are actually learning the real world concepts in programming. So they have implemented these concepts in the programming. So if you know this overall terminology, then understanding this class and object in the program OOPS concept is very easy. Now this next 2 weeks, maybe 2 to 3 weeks, 2 weeks minimum we need to understand class object, we need to understand class components and OOPS. Next 3 weeks it will take to understand these three concepts: class object, class components and OOPS. So maybe 2 to 3 weeks you have to focus on this. If you miss this part, programming फिर आपने miss कर दिया फिर. This is the hard core of your programming. This is something you have to know. ठीक है.